Republic, if you would turn in one of the forms.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the February 28th, 2023 board meeting of the Mason City Schools Board of Education. The board has been in a work session since 5:30, and we are now convened to our regular session. Next item on our agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance, so if you would stand and join me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We wish our fellow board members, Desiree Batchy and Connie Yingling, well tonight. They couldn't make it, but we appreciate that they are engaged in the work that we do even when they are not here. And our next item on our agenda is our superintendent's presentation. Jonathan?
Yes, we actually have two superintendent presentations this evening.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I skipped over approval of our minutes. Did
go
we?
ahead. Yep, I'll pause.
Yeah, let me go back and catch that. Item number 4 is with that. So I need a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Sean, please call the roll.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
3-0.
All right. With apologies, Jonathan.
No worries at all. Tonight we have two superintendent presentations. The first is every month we do a wayfinding video. The wayfinding video is a way for us to share a small portion of a story with the rest of our community on what's going on around the district. So, Tracy, I'll turn it over to you to go ahead and kick off our wayfinding video for this month.
This month's Mesa Moment Wayfinding video is really an awesome opportunity to see how our rocks come together when the world is really in our schools. So Mason has students hailing from over 100 nations across the Crobe, speaking more than 70 languages. In our early childhood center, over 60% of our students come from a linguistically diverse family, speaking at least one other language than English. And so we thought we'd just share a little bit about how the rocks give us more insight into how we work with our English learners, and really also in telling the story of the really special leader who we have that leads our English learning department, Milana Varbanova. Dr. Varbanova is actually an immigrant herself and has such a personal and professional commitment to serving these important students in our district and their families.
Your story matters. Твоята история е важна. We moved to Mason because of the school, so our three kids attended Mason schools, and things were changing rapidly back then, and they were moved from building to building, and they had to, even then without thinking about it, adjust and adapt to a new environment. And the district has adjusted to the growing numbers, and now it's more adjusting to the needs of all the students who bring such rich, diverse experiences with them. I am myself an immigrant and an English learner, and I have been a parent of three students who are culturally and linguistically diverse. So it has helped me develop the understanding and experience firsthand what it's like to transition to a new country, to have to use a language you don't speak or understand well, to learn how to navigate the school system, which is typically very different from other countries. So all of these experiences have led me and guided me on that journey to the point where I'm now, which is supporting all the Mason culturally and linguistically diverse families coming primarily from other countries.
قصتك لها معنى ولازم تتكلم وتقدر نتكلمك.
At first I was scared because I thought that I'm the only Arabic girl and I have no place here. But then my teachers support me and they keep telling us, you have place here and you're from our team. And I began to have friends and talk with people and help people and they're helping me. And I love studying here after my teachers keep supporting me.
Often the visual that comes to mind when I think of Mason and our learning community and larger community is that the whole world is in our hands. I would never forget when one of our professional developer came to our schools and say, wow, that is like the United Nations, and that is what exactly it feels like. What an opportunity and a privilege for every student to experience those cultures in languages and be friends with kids from all over the world. At the Early Childhood Center, approximately 60% of the students are coming from families and cultures that are different than English. They come with diverse experiences, both culturally and linguistically, and that is a great gift given our small territory, which is 24 square miles. So I think if we embrace the diversity and the gifts that come with those different experiences, we'll all be better and prepare everyone better for the future.
Moja istorija je važna. I learned a lot of languages and I'm learning Scratch, Python, Lua. I'm learning English, Polish, Romanian, and Russian.
Rocks are so important because the kids that, we spoke to today, they all feel that they matter here. They feel that they're seen and that they're heard and that they are a part of this amazing school and their classes, and they truly are seen by their teachers, and they feel that they belong, so the walls start coming down. And then that's where the personalized learning steps in, is we check and see where they are with their language, what school looked like to them before they came to us. That's usually a very interesting conversation. But seeing what school looked like before they came to us helps us to understand what school is in their mind and how we can, bridge the way we do school here in Mason to not be so foreign to them.
Sonic stopping Zara Bulada. I have friends who are mostly Uzbek, but mostly English too, and I see that they have like different cultures, and I sometimes really like South Korea because I really like how their claw machines have like cute stuffed animals, and their foods look so good.
There are so many ways to express and convey how welcoming the environment is and the peers and the teachers are without understanding the language. I think a smile is the first thing that comes to mind. There are so many nonverbal behaviors that we can use to demonstrate in a very authentic way that we are glad the student is here.
あなたの話は重要です。At the first time I have no idea what they're talking about because I was new and I was trying to hear correctly, but I have no idea. And then the teacher noticed me and she supported me to be better at English.
I think remembering the personal challenges, integrating in the American society, learning how school works, are all experiences that have shaped my commitment, and not just my personal commitment, but the commitment of our team and our larger learning community to connect well with every parent and family, to make sure they are welcome, to make sure they have ways to connect with us, to collaborate with us, to contribute to the learning of others in the school.
Tracy, thank you so much for sharing this month's wayfinding video. Remember, wayfinding is just a way for us to tell some of our story, a piece of our story. A couple things in that video that I picked up on personally is Milena is you may not know, but was a professional basketball player back in her day. And she did a shout out to the Indiana Hoosiers in there. I don't know if anybody picked up on that, but
I happened to pick up on
I
it.
figured there's a...
I
So-
also, did you notice that the language that the young man from Poland, the other languages, Dr. Cooper, he was talking about Python and Scratch and Lua. I thought that was so cute when I asked him what languages he was into learning. Those were the languages he gave, which I just
He
loved.
knows how to code in many languages.
Yeah.
But what a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, we'll make sure Milena hears from us that was just a beautiful way for her to tell her story, but also tell her passion and what she does here. What a gift here at Mason. And it's a beautiful thing for our kids to be here and have the whole world around them and to be able to connect. It's just, and to hear a kid say, I came here and I was nervous and I didn't know what they were talking about, and just to hear him with confidence share that in his voice. So speaking of student voice, one of the things we like to do during student or superintendent presentation is really highlight student voice. So I'm going to ask 3 students that were a part of our portrait.
We may
of
only have 2 with us
okay.
right now, so that's okay.
Great. 2 students, that's great. I'll have the 2 of you come up to the podium if you don't mind. Both of you come up to the podium. I'm going to have you introduce yourself, what grade you're in, and then I'm going to ask a few questions. We're going to model a little bit of what we did during our, we have, if you're not familiar with this, you're just tuning in, we had 5 community sessions where the community was able to come and engage with us to talk about the changing landscape of our world. And you can see some of the statistics up here. We had 33 students on our design team, and these are 2 of our students, 101 staff members that joined us for that, and 74 of our community members that are business partners and education partners from around the community came together in person to engage in this. And then we did some community sourcing where we put information out and had people participate in surveys to give us feedback on our portrait of a learner. And the portrait of a learner is really looking holistically at what are the priorities as the world changes quickly. And we'll talk about this. What are the things that we should focus on to make sure that our students are prepared with confidence to go out and continue to be leaders in our world today? And so those are just some of the things that we looked at. It looks like you can see on here on the board, we had 40 competencies that we wrestled through. And those were competencies that there were a lot more than that to start with, came down to 40, and then our design team brought those down to, it looks like 24, and then we brought it all the way down to 5. And so we have our 5. Do we have those? Yes, our 5 are right here across the top, so you can see integrity, adaptability, empathy, communication, and critical thinking is where we landed, and then we have definitions for those and some other work around those. So I'll pause there, and then go ahead, introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what grade you're in, and then I'll ask you a couple questions if that's okay.
I'm Ella Hardesty and I'm a sophomore.
I'm a Moog Navara and I'm a sophomore.
Perfect. I'm going to ask you to step up close enough to the mic, just right up to it so that people at home that are watching this can pick it up on the mic. And you stand together. That's perfect. Oh, perfect. Come on in. Yep, we have our third.
Make sure the mic picks up your voices. So when you introduce yourself, go ahead and
just
yeah.
Squeeze in, and we'll look over to our person running the mic. Can you hear their voices? A thumbs up?
He
Kind
said,
of.
kind of. So that means
Closer.
speak loudly, close to the mic.
Yep.
So we'll do it one more time so everybody at home heard it. So your name, what grade you're in, and then I'll jump into questions.
My name's Moog Navara and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Ella Hardesty and I'm also a sophomore.
I'm Aditi Gorgapati and I'm an 8th grader.
Great, that should help with our sound. Thank you so much. Okay, so the first question is, you are a part of our student panel, and I'd love to just hear your insight. What was something that it was a takeaway for you? Maybe something you learned or an aha during that process. And any of you can jump in and share.
I'll go first. So, one thing that many people in the discussions didn't want was it to be just another thing. We don't want the portrait of a student learner to be reactive. We want it so that students can use it in every single part of their lives.
Great, thank you for sharing.
One of the things I kind of took away from it all was the fact that our student voice was actually being heard, there was statistics and like tests taken and like making sure every like little student's voice had like impact within like what we were going to move forward with.
One thing I was shocked about was the vocabulary used. Like, we learned the difference between critical thinking and problem solving. I feel like that's a really big thing because a lot of students don't know the difference between the two and how between the two like the differences are and like how they impact the student.
So during our 4 sessions, and thank you for sharing those insights, our 4 sessions, we talked about the changing landscape of the world and how quickly it's changing. We talked about, as you just mentioned, the words that matter to us as priorities and how do we define those. And you just mentioned problem solving, and critical thinking was a big debate with our students. What do they really mean? And so you defined some of those for us. I guess one question I would ask you as we were kind of going towards the end of our time together, we talked about what does this look like in the future. And so recently, as you know, when we were going through this whole concept of AI, artificial intelligence, kept kind of surfacing up in our conversation with ChatGPT and what that could mean. When you think about that kind of world that's changing so quickly, and you think about the 5, we call them common competencies in our portrait of a learner, how do those interact? Like, why are they important? How does that play in the future? Any thoughts to the connection there, and why do those matter to us?
I think that ChatGPT threatens the integrity competency because with ChatGPT, there's more access to cheating. I'm sure you guys talk about cheating a lot, but I think that the lack of integrity or cheating is a real common issue in Mason High School.
And if you're not familiar, you're tuning in and you're hearing ChatGPT, and all of a sudden you're wondering, well, what is he talking about? Cheating? What does this mean? ChatGPT is an artificial intelligence platform that you can put a word into or a couple words, and it will produce long essays quickly. And it basically goes and scours the internet and brings us together. So one thing it could challenge is integrity. Can you see any ways that these 5 might have a positive interaction with some of those new technologies?
I kind of think technology is like our way to the future. Everything is evolving and adapting. And so like these competencies and tying it in with technology and making sure they're both like integrated in a way, I think it will help like not only us learn, but also like adapt the technology so it's helping us learn there.
Anything to add?
I feel like students should know the difference between like cheating and like using your resources. So if they were taught these competencies at a young age, then they probably would use ChatGPT in a positive sense more than just to like type an essay or just get the answers, and to like check your work or something along those lines.
Yeah, Moog, I think your point is well taken, and I think that ties those pieces together, that if we're understanding these 5 core competencies for students, and they're thinking through what does integrity look like for me, and adaptability with new technology, and they're starting to use those together, you could use the tool to its full potentially, and keep your integrity in that process and not lose your voice in the writing. I think that's the other piece of it. Last question, any advice that you would have the board's attention, we're here, anything from student voice from this process that you would give as an encouraging word for us to think about as we move forward and start to bring this out to our staff and to other students over the next several months?
I would say to keep please taking student input and student voice, because I feel that my voice is heard, and I feel like these changes from especially a student that's going through the school system would be much more beneficial than, I guess, the voices. I mean, like, I don't mean to like say anything about you guys. I mean, you guys like went to school a lot and stuff, but I feel like being you guys in the big chairs, I feel like you guys just don't understand like how it is going through like a student life, and so if you were to take student voices, I feel like it would have made a bigger impact on how you make decisions and changes to the school system.
It's a good point, because I went through school in the 1900s, so it was a very different time, and most of us probably did. So I appreciate that. That was a kind way of saying that. Any other encouraging words or things we should think about?
Yeah, I would kind of like to ride off of that too, like making sure this is about like the students and like what, like valuing them and making sure this is for them and not just like something we put out there, like really making sure like from a young age or like growing up, like keeping this like collection of all of these ideas and like putting it in the environment and like adapting it into curriculums beforehand, like really just focusing on like how you can improve it just for like the students' well-being and making sure they come out as well-rounded humans.
Thanks.
I don't really have words of encouragement. I have I thought about the competencies, and one that stuck to me was integrity. I don't think, at least from my perspective, I don't think that in Mason High School we practice integrity. I had some stats about it. Alright. So I conducted a student survey. I got 21 responses, and 70 to 80% of them cheat in assignments or tests, but 65% of them think they practice integrity in the school. So what I'm trying to say is that one of the main issues that I see is cheating, and I just wanted to use the time to.
Sure. Can I dig into that for a second and just ask you, what do you think are motivations for doing that? What's motivating that or driving that, do you think?
One of the responses said that, and I quote, "Students either don't want to put work in or have a lack of work ethic due to never learning how to study." And also, rigorous classes, AP classes, people are taking more and more of them each year, and they use the excuse of having no time or having other priorities, and cheating is a way for them to solve one of the problems.
So would you say then, coming full circle, that it's important that we have it as part of our 5 focus areas?
Yeah, I think that it should be the main focus area. Like, the integrity should be the main focus area, but that's just my thought.
I don't think you're alone. That came up with our adults as well, and just saying that we want our kids to have that piece of the puzzle, because if you take that away from the 5, it changes the dynamics quickly. So we appreciate that connection. And I would say, when we talk about cheating, or we talk about what motivates kids, sometimes it's the way we have it set up, that they're trying to chase after something. And so, to your point, either they're trying to save time here, or they're trying to accomplish this piece. And so hopefully over time we can teach them how to use technology in a very efficient way that also holds true to their integrity, and they become hard workers, understand how to study, and productive citizens. And that's part of, when you look at the whole portrait of a learner, we're really hoping to develop learners that have that integrity, leaders in our communities, and citizens that are giving back. That's part of our focus area, so we appreciate that. Well, I'll pause. If the board has anything else they might want to ask any of you in relation to that, well, I'll turn it over to them.
Anybody want to jump first? Well, I just want to thank you all for coming tonight. First of all, I know that on a weeknight, on a school night, there's other things you could be doing, other games you could be going and supporting your classmates. So we appreciate you all being here. And I'll just echo, I think that when I look at these competencies, while we are obviously excited about including all of them and excited about the engagement of the process that bore these out, specifically with the student voice, but also with the community voice, both teachers and staff and parents that were involved. While they're all important, I think we as a board feel that the integrity piece is kind of the foundation, of all of these, and it is, one of the reasons we lead with that. And so I appreciate your observations about these and the importance that they play in terms of what we aspire to for our comments as they move through the schools and hopefully graduate and head out into the world and represent us and do things that we're all very proud of.
I'll echo his thanks. I got to sit with you guys for a little bit on the 4th session and kind of hear your perspective and suggestions, and I would just encourage you to keep speaking up and be engaged. You guys had some wonderful solutions to a lot of the issues that you see, and we do need to hear from your perspective, because we did go to school in the 1900s and the world has evolved. I didn't have anyone to write papers for me Either I did it or it didn't get turned in. So, and holding each other accountable was something that I think you guys talked a lot about. So, just grateful that you are this engaged. I know you guys could be doing 100 different things, but you're here, and so I just want to tell you how appreciative we are.
I would add, I'll just make a couple notes here. I want to thank you for your comments as well, and I'm really happy to hear that you raised that point on integrity, because one of the process that we went through was lots of preparation for the concept of some of these things, and then some of the early iterations that started to come back in were, I would say, more headline type of competencies that were in the news right now. And one of the things I think we all kind of gave some feedback on is, well, hold on a minute, we're talking about a 10-year, vision here. These competencies need to be timeless. They need to be as relevant in 1800 and 1900 and the 2000s and today. These are timeless things. We don't invent them. They're bedrocks of any successful path anybody's ever on. And so I'm really happy they're here, but I'm even more happy that you see the value for them being there, because that really gives me confidence that we're on the right track. So thank you for your participation in this and for helping to echo that same message.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thanks so much.
If you would come on down, we've got a little token of our appreciation.
Mog Ella.
You won't want to miss this, I promise.
This is a really big deal.
Yeah.
You're on a t-shirt.
Being here.
I think I might just have to say like 15 seconds of something about that.
Yep, and then they get all their shirts.
Let's scoot. Scoot. This Charles, come down this way just a minute. Here. Yep. That looks great. Students.
One more round of applause.
Walk over and
Does that conclude our superintendent's presentation?
superintendent's presentation
All right.
is complete. Yep.
The next item on our agenda is our hearing of the public. Typically at this point in our meetings, we do take a pause and allow those of you that were here primarily for our superintendent's presentations to move on with your evening. However, if you are interested in staying longer, you're more than welcome to. We welcome having you. And while we are taking that pause, I think we have maybe a couple more sheets for hearing of the public to fill out. So for those that would like to use this time, feel free. You can exit stage left. Otherwise, we welcome you all staying.
So you can stay or you all.
All right. This is the hearing of the public portion of our meeting. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick read through. Each person addressing the board shall sign the attendance sheet, complete and return a request to speak form, and be a resident or employee of the Mason City School District. Each person is allotted 3 minutes until the total time of 30 minutes is used. In order to prevent disclosure of students' or employees' private information, the board does not allow any complaints about specific employees of the district in public session. And with that, I think I've covered all of the primary rules. We have our first speaker, Katie Hauer.
Hello, my name's Katie Hauer, 5405 Harvestdale Drive, and I am a 27-year Mason resident and the parent of 2 successful Mason grads. I'm here tonight, first of all, to thank the board and Mr. Cooper for their full support of Mason's various and ongoing DEI programs. I think that video that we saw earlier was just priceless. I just loved that, and I think that speaks exactly to the heart of what Mason is all about. So even though we have had a lot of ongoing political attacks on such efforts, I think it's vital to our students and to our community that they continue. So I thank you for that. My concern, though, is that during Superintendent Cooper's appearance on WVXU, or the listening session, he mentioned support for allowing, and I quote, money to follow the student. He later said that we are fully supportive of school choice. We believe it's great for our taxpayers to have a choice. I sincerely hope that Mr. Cooper was only referring to open enrollment and not the voucher scheme that promises to take millions of dollars from public schools, including Mason City schools. House Bill 11 and Senate Bill 11 are plans to send public dollars to private, unregulated schools. In fact, even families who have never sent their children to Mason schools and never intended to would be eligible for vouchers, which would come from our funding. I know we'd like to think that no one would choose another school over Mason, but that's just not true. They already are. Under this legislation, we would lose money to those families. Additionally, State Representative Adam Matthews pictured Mr. Cooper and Mr. Bevan on his social media page on February 24th. Mr. Matthews was celebrating a meeting with them, and he mentions the bill he has sponsored, House Bill 1. To someone not well schooled in politics, it appears that MCS leadership is happy with this legislation. I certainly hope that is not the case. It is estimated that if this bill passes, it would drain $1.2 billion a year from schools, libraries, parks, communities, community colleges, mental health and developmental disabilities boards, and children's services. By Matthews' own admission, there is no plan in place to replace that funding beyond the fiscal year 2025. On the Mason City Schools website, it is stated that the Board of Education is committed to 4 things. One of those things is demonstrating accountability, I'm almost done, to our taxpayers. It is not fiscally sound nor constitutional for the state to fund multiple systems of schools. It would be devastating to our children and to our community if funding from property taxes is removed without any system to replace it. It is the fiduciary responsibility of this board to ensure that our school does not suffer the kinds of losses in funding we are looking at should any of these disastrous bills pass. Despite what your own personal feelings may be regarding these bills, as a taxpayer, I hope that the district considers taking a very public stand opposed to all this legislation.
Thank you, Mrs.
Thank
Hauer.
you.
All right. Our next speaker is Prashant. I'll let you pronounce that so that I get it right the next time.
Thank you so much, President and board member, for an opportunity to come and speak here. What a wonderful start of this evening session. I really love the video and presentation which Mr. Cooper has shared. Thank you so much. So in addition to add on to the video, I'm here to invite the board member over sitting here for one of the event which Hindu heritage like organizations called as Hindu Swayam Sevak Sangha is arranging on 18th of March at 11 o'clock in Mason Methodist Church, which is right across the street, for Teachers Appreciation. We call it as Guru Vandana Utsav. Gurus are considered as God in my community. The primary reason is they enlighten our students' life by wisdom and knowledge. So in order to appreciate that, from last 6 years we are arranging this event, and we got really good responses from different school districts, starting from most from Mason, King's School Districts, Sycamore School Districts. We always have many of the principals, teachers joining this event and enlightening our teachers' life. So that's an event where we can appreciate and say thank you to the teachers for all the contributions they are making to our community. So we would like to extend that invitation to whole board member to come and visit us and be part of this celebration, because you are not in front of the screen, but you do so much work to support the school districts, and indirectly to our students as well. So we already, Mrs. Goldbole already shared invitation to Mrs. Carson over here. I have some invitations which I'm going to keep, and I will stay here for some time. So whoever would like to join, you are please welcome to come and participate. Any questions, please let me know. Thanks. Okay. Did I cover everything? Perfect. So just wanted to make sure like I did not miss. So thank you so much for the opportunity to speak here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, our final speaker of the evening. Apologize if I'm having trouble reading the handwriting. Miss Gibbons. And was there another name on here as well? Would you introduce yourself at the podium as well? Sorry. It's like maybe Emma. Huh?
Bianco, so it's a bit of a mouthful. Okay, and I'm Kenzie Gibbons, and we are 8th graders at Mason Middle School. We're here today to discuss the lack of vegetarian and vegan options at our school.
So recently, due to illness, my dad has had to switch to being vegan, and to support him, I had joined in his diet. But usually I would get school lunches as someone who can just eat anything, I guess, like any food group. But I've had to stop, which has limited me to usually only eating like an apple like a day at school, which I'm sure you guys know isn't exactly the best diet. So I don't know, it's just really hurtful, because a lot of my friends who have taken the time to pack, I thought that they would just rather it, but after doing some more research, they had discussed with me that they just refuse to eat food here because of the lack of options.
Yeah, so we have our 3 big rocks at the school. I wonder why we don't display our inclusive excellence with actions. Since we have all this talk of being so welcoming to everybody, I wonder like how we make everyone feel comfortable when we don't offer all these like food options. I think it's like not fair how we have 2 flavors of Switch and like 2 flavors of Izzy, which is like another soda just like Switch, and like 7 ice cream flavors, but not a single vegan option. I mean, I love the ice cream and the Izzy's and the juice, of course, but like most people don't even eat like every single one on there. There are like 7 different ice cream flavors, which I mentioned earlier. Only like 3 of them are like really popular, and there are only like 2 Izzy's that people actually get.
So in my close friend group, I know at least 3 vegetarians, like in the people that I talk to daily, like outside of school. And then in my classes alone this semester, I probably have 20 like different vegetarians, vegans, people on different diets. And
part of, as Kenzie said, our inclusive excellence, I feel like I really just wish that we were better represented in what we serve at the school, because I have a personal, like, I talk to a lot of the lunch ladies, and one of my friends, Miss Kathy, who works at the cafeteria, has talked about, like, to me as well, that she sometimes, like, wonders that as well, because students have asked her, like, hey, do we have any substitutes? And a lot of times they don't, which, I mean, I get how much money it is, but I just feel like we have so many other things that we have at our school, like juices and sodas and ice cream. And the fact that we don't have a single option for just a meal for someone who's vegan or vegetarian is pretty crazy.
Like, yeah, we have the salads and stuff, but they all either contain, like, chicken or egg, which doesn't help a vegan much.
So I'm asking you to take not only our words, but our community as a whole into consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. That concludes our hearing of the public this evening. We take a pause at this time in our meeting as well. You're welcome to stay, but for those of you that would like to get on with your evening, feel free to use this time to exit.
Sign into the binder.
In on the
That's-
binder.
that's at the top.
That way we have your names written down.
Thank you.
All right, we will go ahead and move on with our evening. Our next item on our agenda is item number 7, resolutions. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All right, any discussion?
Just a couple things. The OHSAA membership is a resolution we approve each year to maintain our membership in the Ohio High School Athletic Association. The second one, these Board of Revision resolutions, these types of resolutions are new for us and probably for a lot of school districts across the state. The process here is not brand new. Basically what this is referring to is that anytime there's a commercial property that's sold in the district, if that property sells for more than $500,000 more than it's on the tax books for now, we have the chance to go through a process to try to right size the value of that property to make sure that all commercial entities are paying their fair share of the tax bill. So again, we don't do this for residential properties, only for commercial, and only if it increases in value by a minimum of 10% and $500,000. So that's the case with both of these entities, and so we'll go through the process to see if we can again make sure that everybody's paying their fair share.
Thank you very much, Sean. Any other discussion?
Since we're approving the OSHAA, Lady Comet's down 2 points at half.
Ah, breaking news. All right.
I would just say, since this is the first time this resolution is on for the Board of Revision, I think it's important to recognize that we don't have a complaint with these individual businesses at all. Don't inadvertently create these imbalances where through unique asset transfers or market changes that we don't inadvertently put more burden on one taxpayer or the other. So this is just a check and a balance to make sure that these all get looked at to make sure that they warrant the tax valuation that they're on the books for. So.
Yep, and as Sean mentioned too, this is normal course of business for us, has been for years. It's just a relatively recent change in the law to kind of for lack of a better term, dare school districts to continue doing what we've been doing, which is make sure that, we are protecting our tax base and the investment our community puts into our schools by being more public with this action than we already were, which is already pretty public any time that you are filing a public, court action. So with that, Sean?
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Gavin?
Yes.
3-0.
Item number 8, superintendent's recommendations, considering the approval of all personnel items together. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, Sean? Please call
Mr.
roll.
Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Gavin?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
3-0.
And then item number 9 are the superintendent's recommendations, those personnel items that we have approved to be considered all together. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
Just a couple quick highlights as people go through this document. There's a lot here. This is our full personnel recommendations for this month. So you can see a lot of work that happens in between meetings to either bring people on new or moving into new positions. You'll see there's a benefits coordinator that is Megan Livermore that's new, and we welcome her to the district. She's already started, or
She started last week.
started last week, so that's someone new to our team, so welcome her. And there's many others that as you go through this list. One thing I will highlight is we continue to get great substitute teachers into the district, so continue that pipeline. We appreciate that and appreciate people stepping up for that to help us out. We also have on item I, there is the Comet Club Intervention. This is an intervention program that's supporting students for after-school intervention. It is our teachers that step up to do this. So we thank the teachers and the staff that help us with this programming and help our students with the intervention that's necessary there. There are also coordinators to that. You'll see that in item N with Kristen Lazuda and Whitney Young. So thank you for stepping up and leading that and helping prepare the curriculum for that intervention for our students. There are people that are retiring on here. You'll see some retirements and resignations. We always want to wish everyone that is moving on to new chapters of their life. We want to thank you for your service here and wish you the best in the next step in either your career or next chapter in your journey as well. The last thing I'll highlight is there are a lot of supplementals on here for coaches. Coaching is something that is a gift to our students. We don't pay millions and millions of dollars to coaches, as much as that would be wonderful. It's a service to our kids and developing our students and investing in our students. So if you've ever considered coaching, we encourage you to apply and participate in that process. We do have great coaches that are listed on here that help our students to move them on their journey and realize their dreams and a lot of different opportunities for our kids. So thank you so much to all those that serve in that capacity. That's all I have for tonight for personnel.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thanks.
Any other discussion? Sean, please call roll.
Mr. Gavin?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
3-0.
Item number 10, superintendent's recommendations, action items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Quickly run through these, A, B, C, and D. So A, we do have some areas that are leaking on one portion of the roof. It is a shared portion of the roof that we have with the community center, so we work with them in collaboration to repair these. Todd Petrie brought these through our facilities committee, so we've approved that through that committee, and then bringing them here as a recommendation. The Mason asphalt overlay, we do have a long-term plan for all asphalt across the district and continually keeping that in good condition and repairing that as needed. And so you'll see this is the next iteration and part of that process and that plan. The charter agreement, we have a collaboration with the city. They do use our buses for Red, Rhythm, and Boom as we go into the spring season. This is getting ready for the 4th of July season, and they do use about 12 of our buses to transport thousands of people to participate in that event, which is exciting for our community. And then the final piece on here is the Mason Elementary renovation. We had a bid out to do some renovations at Mason Elementary in order to prepare for drawing our class sizes down and also addressing some of the needs that we have in that building. And so we've worked closely with the building principal and the team in that building and Todd and our architects to design a plan, and this is the recommendation to move forward on that at this time. This is one part of a 3-part phase in our facilities plan right now. Thanks.
Thanks, Jonathan. Any other discussion? All right. Sean, please call the roll.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
3-0.
Item number, let's see, 11.
Yes.
Where's that in here? Treasurer's report. Do I have a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just what we have for approval tonight is some of our monthly reports and including donations. If you take a quick look at the donations tab, we have about over $30,000 being approved here tonight. So always grateful for our individuals and support groups in the community, whether it's the PTO groups or families supporting kids and activities in the district. We always appreciate that.
Thanks, Sean. Any other discussion? Sean, please call the roll.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
3-0.
Item number 12, committee reports. Do I have a motion? Or actually, nope, never mind. Starting with Arts and Activities Council.
Yeah, Tracy or Tanya, do you want to give any updates there?
What did we approve? I think we did have some some additional. Was it? Yeah, we can click on the agenda. Move to facilities.
Looks like we had Science Discovery Camp and some other Destination Imagination.
High school, chess team out of state camp, and then we also
Tabletop games.
Yep.
New club.
Yep, that's it. That was it. It was a quick one. I think it might have been an email.
All right. Great. Awesome. Facilities Committee.
Yes, we met, and primarily we are discussing our facilities plan to draw down class size, address the needs of our special education population, and just the needs that we need at the building. We're getting to a point where the buildings are 20 years old, and we're looking at revamping some of these things to make sure we stay current in what we do.
Awesome. Thanks, Todd. Finance Committee.
Sure. Appreciate Mr. Wise and Mr. Orr coming to our most recent Finance Committee meeting. One of the things that we get a chance to do on a regular basis, including this meeting, was to take a look at some long-term type planning. In this particular case, we're looking at our permanent improvement or capital fund, just looking at things like some of the projects that we approved on here tonight, the asphalt and things like that. And so good long-range planning around this permanent improvement fund helps us to make sure that we are taking care of our facilities and have things in order. So that was our main topic at this meeting.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. And Mason Schools Foundation.
Just a number of grants that the Mason Schools Foundation continues to fund. Last night we had our really successful Black History Fest, and Mason Schools Foundation was a partner there and had supported the catering and our amazing artist, Adoria Maxbury there. We also right now are in the process of having our second round of Catalyst grants, and actually at the same time getting ready for general grants. So educators are already very much thinking about next year, and the foundation is here primed and ready to say, what brilliant, wonderful things do you want to do for kids that taxpayer dollars wouldn't be available for, but we have money to help do that. And so that should be a good move headed into the spring.
Thanks, Tracy. All right. Next item on our agenda, item number 13, legislative update. Anything going on, Jonathan?
Anything going on? We have more going on in the legislative update than I probably have time for this evening, but I'm going to try to highlight a few. Just to recap some of the activity, there are 61 bills that were introduced over a 2-day period 7 of the first 12, and the first 12 indicate priorities in the General Assembly. 7 of those were specific to education. You heard earlier one of the speakers reference some of the bills that are out there to expand voucher programs. In the current form of those, they would be devastating to our, it's something we would not support in its current form because it would be taking more money out of local funds. And I've talked about this several times at meetings here, but the state provides a certain amount per child into our district. And some of these voucher programs will actually take more money out of our pocket locally to move with a student to another school that does not have the same accountability system that we have here, and taking that essentially out of local taxpayers' hands. And so that's definitely something we would not support. And but that is going on, and those are bills that are out there. So we're watching those closely. I work closely with our local legislators like Representative Matthews and Senator Wilson. We invite them in to meet with us on a regular basis. We have great relationships there. And we share those concerns. We actually literally whiteboard those out on my whiteboard in my office to go through those. Sean and I had the pleasure recently of doing that with House Bill 1, for example. House Bill 1, in its current form, in the way that we understand it, has potential for us to lose up to about $10 million annually. And that would be an annual loss to our district. So that's something that we're watching closely. We're working on solutions to see if we can help come up with solutions that would keep our schools whole in that process, and so that there is not loss to schools or to local taxpayers and putting extra burden on our local taxpayers. So those are things that we're working closely with our legislators to try to solve. We have meetings coming up soon to do those again, to go through that again to see if we can move forward. We did watch testimony today so that we could stay closely tied to that. There are other bills out there that we're watching closely, like Senate Bill 1 is another one that impacts us as educators. There's a whole move to take and change the entire education ODE and some of the board and how that's put together, and so that's something that we're watching closely and participating and giving our input on as that comes about. There are a lot of other things that are out there right now. Those are just some of the ones that we are watching closely. But again, just to remind everybody of our process, when we have, I sit personally on the legislative committee for 2 different state entities that inform me of what's going on. We work closely with our local legislators and share concerns that we have so that we can continue to come up with solutions that, again, benefit us locally and also as a state, what's best for our kids across the state of Ohio. So that's the quick update. There's so much going on, and I would say stay tuned for the next couple weeks. Will be a bit of a roller coaster, but we'll be right there on the ride and helping out, advocating on behalf of our local community.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thanks.
Item number 14, administrator commentary. Tracy?
Just want to thank and appreciate our IE teams, and particularly Nick Washington at Mason Intermediate School and Soraya Smith, our DEI LED, for their work in putting together our like the Black History Fest. That is kind of the second time we have done this now as a full year of community mirrors and windows events. This one particularly went on feedback that came from our families. We've been doing as IE teams, having panels of family members who are giving us just perspectives and thoughts. And so we asked some of their perspective of what we could do to make this year's Black History Fest even better than it was last year. And some of the feedback was, why don't we build on the wonderful successes that we have with Black History Bowl and at MI, which is in its 16th year, started many years ago under Mr. and Mrs. Handy, Mrs. Handy was a teacher at MI at one point. And then they, from there, thought, yes, and those Black History floats that they're doing at ME, and why don't we just and it was just an incredible event. I know several of us got to be there and be in that space with just a joyful group of folks. And many thanks to the Emmy and MIPTO who helped up and helped sponsor, as well as the Mason Schools Foundation. We had wonderful partnership and leadership from our MHS Black Student Union and our Middle School Black Student Union, but it was really a beautiful event, and we look forward to continuing to have those Mirrors and Windows opportunities. We'll have our next one in May when we do Asian American Pacific Islander Month. So that will be coming up, and you'll want to mark your calendars for that. But we have another event that is a signature Mason City Schools DEI Council event, and that is Taste of Mason. And we are thrilled. Wednesday, please be there. We're going to have incredible talent on display. We're going to debut. It is March 1st, and March is actually Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. And so we're going to be debuting a video featuring students and family members and staff in our district talking about what inclusion means to them, and that comes from our MPAC group as well as our DEI Council leaders there. So that'll be debuting, but it's always such a terrific event and really showcases our diversity principle as part of our inclusive excellence work. So hope we'll see you there.
Thanks, Tracy.
I just wanted to briefly follow up on the Wayfinding Moment video and give another shout out to Melina Varbanova, our outstanding ESL supervisor. It is just a joy to work with her, talk about a person who brings passion, determination, deep expertise to her work, and a sense of ongoing curiosity and just a desire to be better. So feel very fortunate to have her as part of our team. She, in this year even, has been invited to speak and has shared at 2 national conferences just because of that depth of knowledge and expertise that she brings. And so she would never share those things. And I'm sure that video, filming it, made her even very uncomfortable to say, I shouldn't be the person in the spotlight. It should be our teachers and our administrators and our students and families who are closest to the work. And so I wanted to take that moment to recognize her. And just a couple of the numbers, because I think Tracy shared a little bit about them, but we do this year, our current up-to-the-date number is 1,128 of our students are English learners currently identified. Currently also sort of in that subgroup, according to the way the state identifies it, another 211 who've exited services, but we continue to monitor to make sure that they're okay and their proficiency in English learning and won't need support in the future. Melina actually gave me updated numbers, so she now says over 95 different languages spoken in our community, over 100 different countries represented among our student population. So just that beautiful diversity, and that she does such a wonderful job of helping all of us see they're all of our learners, but making sure that those who need those supports are getting them. And she doesn't do that alone. So she would also, I do just have to mention, I'd be remiss if I didn't just mention at each building we have assistant principals who are doing a lot of that daily work to support our teachers and our students and our families. Amazing English learner team of teachers and paraprofessionals. Deanna Wilson at our central office, our administrative assistant who supports that team as well. So thank you to Tracy for bringing that story to us today and to that entire team.
Just a reminder that it is hiring season, so please check our website for postings, and we look forward to having new members join our team.
I want to thank the students for coming tonight to share their experience about being on the design team and actually using their voice consistently. And for all of the buildings, they've been consistently over the last couple of years, in particular, increasing opportunities for kids to use their voice, even at our youngest level. So kudos to everybody for embracing our personalized learning and student voice.
Thanks, Christine.
I'd also like to comment on the wayfinding video and just to give a shout out to Melina as well. I know she is one of those folks that is always positive, always moving forward, and always looking for the best option for kids. It is a blessing to be around her, that's for certain.
A couple thank yous for work going on behind the scenes. First of all, to our board, thank you for being engaged in things like House Bill 1 that Dr. Cooper mentioned. There's lots of bill reading and legislation and talking to representatives and meetings and things like that that doesn't get noticed. So we appreciate that and appreciate your being engaged and your knowledge and your wisdom and your expertise in those areas. So thank you for that. Also want to thank the fiscal team. Received another clean audit report this year, so thank you to them for their hard work, again, behind the scenes and all the things that they do to support our staff and families each day.
Thanks, Sean.
I just, thanks for the students and their input. I appreciate hearing anytime we have student voice highlighted in our meeting. It definitely brings a depth that is good for us to hear, and it's who we're here to serve. So just to hear ideas like that shared with us is really healthy. I just want to remind people we are always open as a team for questions. If you ever have questions about anything that we're doing in the district, we're always have an open door policy. So please come to us, ask us. That can be anything from facilities to technology to what's going on with hiring to curriculum and how we're choosing things and how we look at books and all those pieces. All these folks are very capable of meeting with anyone out there would like to, and very welcoming to see what's going on in our schools. We'd welcome people, invite people to do that. Sean and I also would welcome people to, if you have any questions about any of the legislation that's out here and how that works, we'd love to work with you on that and unpack that. I also have outreach moments that are already on the calendar. If you look on our website, we have local coffee shops. I think the next one is March 20th at Odesso at 8 a.m. and then another one at Sonder March 20th at 5:30. So those are brewing up conversations with us in our community to keep us on the same page, to hear from our community, and so we'll always be out there and listening. Hopefully that's helpful to serve our community in that way. Thanks.
Thanks, Jonathan. Board commentary. Ian, you want to kick us off?
Do that. First, lady comments down 10 into third. Get a notification, not good. So hopefully we got a rally in us for the fourth quarter. It's early, right? It's early. But congratulations to all our winter sports. I think we had a fairly successful winter with kids doing the things they love: bowling, swimming, basketball. I think I saw our color guard won regionals for the first time. So I just love that our students have those kinds of opportunities to express themselves in various ways that they're passionate about. This being the last day of Black History, just wanted to thank so many people for that wonderful community event last night. It was very well attended. It was very informative. It highlighted the things that we do as a community, within a community, and just really great to be in that space last night. And I'm excited to attend the Taste of Mason tomorrow. So if you can get out, lots of vendors, lots of events. I'm looking forward to the Impact video. I think I was supposed to do a video and I forgot, so apologies to my friends at Impact. But that kind of leads me into the brief thing I want to say is, that's the beauty of public education, right? We all get to share a community with one another, and the schools provide a space for us to come in contact and learn about different cultures and languages. Our wayfinding moment, to have that and be able to support those learners and families and people in our community is what has made public education great, that we have finally reached a space where we can all share those spaces together and learn from one another. And so for me, I think that's worth protecting, and I think it's worth fully funding, and I think it's worth giving the community an opportunity to have the input to organize itself and in the ways that it sees fit, while respecting, encouraging, and supporting all learners of all stripes. So I'm glad to hear that we are aligned in supporting the bills that allow us to do that, and that we are not aligned, we don't support the bills that would take that away from us. So we will continue to be vigilant and vocal about our support of public education and what it means to our community, because you can't have Mason quality without Mason. And so we want to make sure that we keep our ability to craft the school district that we want for the learners that we have. So I will cede the floor and hand it over.
Thank you, Ian. Kevin?
Well, I just, Sean's usually pretty humble, so I wasn't sure he was going to say that, but I do want to thank he and his team for marshaling us through another year and being recognized with the clean audit report. And it's such an important capability for us to be able to have that, so that we can work on valuable longer-term planning as opposed to kind of shoring up short-term challenges. And this result, the report, is a good indicator of that. And there's so many things going on in Columbus, as Jonathan said. We have a pretty consistent track record of being incredibly influential and incredibly quiet in our approach. It's not the way everybody needs to be, but that's been our approach for at least 20 years. I think, Katie, you said 27. I've been here 23, 20 of them on the board. I shouldn't be a surprise to you on any front, and you come when these issues are up, and I appreciate and value your voice as well. And but when we sit up here and we have the opportunity to represent everybody, we're going to be influential usually in a little bit different way. So, but I think Jonathan pointed out all the key issues. They all impact us, and we're very much in tune with those legislative initiatives. So, with that, pass it on to you.
Thank you, Kevin. Wanted to just acknowledge and congratulate those who helped make all of our events around the district a success for Black History Month, and looking forward to the Taste of Mason tomorrow night. Also the efforts to acknowledge and highlight the Developmental Disability Awareness Month that MPAC and the DEI counselor putting together, as well as with collaboration with our students. And I think also March, I believe, is Women's History Month as well. And so acknowledge and appreciate those that are elevating those efforts in the district. And want to also give a shout out to the MECC first grade Seahorse class wrapping up their concert a little bit ago tonight. Looking forward to watching the video of that when we adjourn here, and wishing our Lady Comets the best of luck as they finish up against Princeton tonight. Hopefully we find a way to eke one out. So with that, I'll have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Yes. Thank you, everybody.